What happens when daytime television's most outspoken voice finally calls out royal drama for what it truly is? What you are about to witness is not just a celebrity being challenged. It is a complete breakdown of a carefully managed narrative. It is the moment Prince Harry's image of victimhood collided head-on with someone who simply refused to let him deflect any longer. This was not a comfortable, friendly interview. It was an unfiltered reality check delivered live, in front of millions. The result, one of the most raw, emotional, and unforgettable confrontations in television history. As Prince Harry entered the studio of The View, the atmosphere felt more tense than celebratory. He smiled and waved at the audience, still accustomed to receiving warm receptions in the United States. But the warmth on stage was noticeably absent. Whoopi Goldberg sat with a look that said everything. Her arms crossed, her eyes steady, her posture unflinching. She had done her homework. She had seen the interviews, read the memoir, and followed the headlines. This was not just another media appearance. This was going to be a reckoning. "Prince Harry, welcome," Whoopi began, her voice even, but sharp. "Let's get right into it. You have been very vocal across books, podcasts, documentaries, and interviews about your issues with the royal family. Many would say it has become your brand." "Why?" Harry's smile dimmed. He shifted in his chair, clearly caught off guard by the directness. "I believe in speaking my truth," he began. "There's been a lot of misinformation out there. My wife and I." "Truth," Whoopi interrupted. "Or your version of it. Because here's what I see. Every time there's a new project, there's another revelation, another family moment, made public, another private conversation turned into public content. Why now? Why all the time?" The studio audience fell quiet. No applause, no laughter, just silence. Harry swallowed hard. "We have faced relentless pressure from the media. My wife was the subject of racist attacks. We asked for help, and we were ignored. We felt we had no choice but to speak out." Whoopi leaned forward, her expression unreadable. "You had no choice. You are a prince. You had security, staff, a platform that most people would give anything for. You had the entire world watching, and instead of using that influence to quietly create change, you went loud. You went public. And now, here you are, still talking. That's not fair," Harry protested. "We were suffocating under that system. The mental health struggles were real. Meghan was suicidal. The institution failed her, failed us. Tragedy is not exclusive to royalty," Whoopi snapped. "Let me tell you something. In this country, mental health care is something millions can't even afford. They wait in lines. They go without treatment. They do not get to walk into palaces. You had options. You had money. You had access. You don't understand." "Oh, I understand," she cut him off. "You're trying to draw sympathy from people who have none to spare. People who are trying to keep their lights on and put food on the table. You call that being trapped. Try being a single mother working 3 jobs and still falling behind on rent." Harry looked stunned, caught in the crossfire between public perception and his own reality. "We were isolated," he said quietly. "The press was vicious. The palace wouldn't intervene. We felt we had to leave to survive." "Survive," Whoopi repeated. "You left with millions. You settled in California. You bought a mansion. You signed multi-million-dollar deals. This wasn't exile. It was a business decision. And every time you want attention, you pull out another royal secret. What are you really surviving, Harry?" Harry's voice wavered. "You think this is about money? It's about telling the truth. About protecting my wife. About giving my children a future free from toxicity. Then why keep dragging your family into it?" Whoopi pressed. "Why keep revealing their pain for your gain? That's not truth. That's content." He blinked, visibly struggling to respond. "My grandmother died thinking I hated her," he muttered. "I barely got to say goodbye. This rift, this tension, it wasn't what I wanted." Whoopi's gaze softened for the briefest second, then reset. "You think grief is unique to you. You think losing someone excuses everything else. I lost my mother too, but I didn't go on tour to tell the world about every disagreement we had. I didn't write a memoir describing every hurtful thing she ever said. That's not what I did, isn't it?" she interrupted. "Because it looks a whole lot like you've taken your family's pain and put it on display for public judgment. You turned grief into a storyline. You say you want healing, but this doesn't look like healing. It looks like revenge." Harry's hands trembled in his lap. "I was doing what I thought was right." "No, you were doing what was convenient," Whoopi countered. "You wanted to speak, and you did, but you never asked yourself what it would cost the people you left behind." Harry's voice cracked. "My father and brother chose the institution. They didn't protect us. And what did you choose, Harry?" she asked. "Because it seems like you chose exposure. You chose cameras, you chose publishing deals, and your kids. They'll grow up knowing every painful detail of your fallout with your own family, because you made it public." "I was trying to protect them," he said. But even he didn't sound convinced anymore. "By making sure they can never have a normal relationship with their grandfather, with their uncle, with the legacy they came from." Whoopi's voice rose. "You didn't protect them, you isolated them. And for what? For a brand? For a spotlight?" Harry's jaw tightened. His voice dropped to barely a whisper. You think, I wanted this outcome, but I wanted my family broken. Every day I wonder if I made the right call. Then why keep doing it? Whoopi asked, more calm now, but no less pointed. Every interview, every documentary, every chapter reopens the wound, not just for you, but for everyone involved. At what point does it stop being therapy and become self-destruction? Harry blinked back tears. I just wanted acknowledgement. I wanted them to see what they did. To admit the harm, and what about the harm you caused? Whoopi leaned in. Where's your acknowledgement of that? Your grandmother spent her final years watching her family fall apart. You aired private conversations. You exposed people who had no platform to respond. You did not just tell your story. You told theirs without their consent. Harry's shoulders sagged. She told me she loved me, he said, that she wanted me to be happy. Of course she did, Whoopi said gently. She was your grandmother. That was her job, to love you. But that doesn't mean she approved of your choices. It means she loved you despite them. Harry wiped his eyes. I didn't mean for it to go this far. But it did, she said, and now you have to own that. This isn't about blame anymore. It's about responsibility. It's about deciding what kind of man you want to be moving forward. Harry exhaled, long and heavy. The damage is done. The books are out. The interviews are everywhere. I can't take it back. No, you can't, Whoopi said, but you can stop adding fuel to the fire. You can stop turning private moments into press cycles. You can stop feeding the machine that you claim to hate. He looked up, exhausted. They won't forgive me. I know that. They might not, she admitted. But forgiveness is not something you can demand. You earn it, slowly, quietly. You stop talking, and you start showing. I don't know who I am without this story, he confessed. It's the only thing that's made me feel seen. Then maybe it's time, she said, her voice now calm and firm, to find out who you are when nobody's watching. Harry looked lost. This is my livelihood now. Speaking, writing, producing it, all comes from my truth. Then find a new truth, Whoopi said flatly. Get a job, a real one. Contribute to the world in a way that doesn't involve rehashing your family's pain. You're a grown man. Act like it. He flinched at the words. His hands covered his face. I don't know how to be normal, he said quietly. I've never had to. Then learn, Whoopi replied. Learn what it means to work, to serve, to build something from scratch without your name attached. You are not the only person in the world struggling to redefine himself. He looked at her, defeated. I missed them, he whispered. My father, my brother. I missed feeling like I had a place. Missing them is not enough. Whoopi said, love is not just words. It's what you do. And what you've been doing has caused more harm than healing. The audience was silent. The cameras rolled, and Prince Harry was crumbling in front of everyone. I thought I was being brave, he said. I thought speaking out was strength. Bravery, Whoopi raised her eyebrows. Bravery is staying silent while someone you love attacks you. Bravery is choosing dignity over drama. Bravery is choosing your family's peace over your own validation. Harry was openly crying now. I didn't mean to be the villain, but you became one, Whoopi said, her tone blunt. The moment you decided that your pain justified everyone else's exposure. The moment you turned trauma into content. He buried his head in his hands. I've ruined everything, not everything, Whoopi said, but enough that it's time to stop. You do not need another podcast. You do not need another Netflix series. You need to disappear, heal, work, reconnect with who you are without the headlines. And what if they never take me back? He asked. That's the consequence, she said. You gambled. You chose the world over your family, and now you have to live with what that cost. He was silent, his chest rising and falling in uneven breaths. I was trying to protect my family, my wife, my kids. By turning your back on everyone else who ever protected you, she asked. There were other ways, Harry. There were always other ways. You just did not choose them. The emotional weight in the room was overwhelming. Even the other hosts on The View stayed quiet. They knew they were witnessing something no script could have predicted. She's gone, Harry whispered. My mother and I couldn't save her. I couldn't save Meghan from becoming her. That fear, it consumed me. And in that fear you lost yourself, Whoopi replied. You tried to fight the system by becoming exactly what it needed: more scandal, more headlines, more spectacle. Harry's voice broke. I wanted to honor her. I wanted to be like her. Then be like her, Whoopi said. Turn pain into purpose, not into profit. Help people quietly. Build something meaningful. Use your name for good, not for clickbait. But no one wants me unless I'm dramatic, he said bitterly. That's not true, she said, but if you keep serving drama, that's all people will come for. Change the story, Harry. It's still possible. He looked up again, his face red and wet with tears. What would you do if you were me? I'd stop talking, Whoopi said. I'd apologize to my family on TV, not in a book, but in private. I'd show up for them in silence. I'd stop trying to explain myself and start proving I've changed. Harry took a deep breath. And what if they never believe me again? You live with that, she said, and you keep going. Because the people who truly grow, they do the right thing, even when nobody's watching, even when the door never opens again. Harry nodded slowly. For the first time, he seemed completely stripped of everything he had built, his defenses, his media armor, his carefully chosen words. All gone. I miss belonging, he said again, barely audible. You can belong again, Whoopi said, but not like this. The studio lights stayed on. The cameras kept rolling. But the usual rhythm of television was long gone. This wasn't entertainment anymore. It was a man unraveling under the pressure of his own choices. Harry remained hunched in his chair, silently overwhelmed. The usual polish he carried during interviews had vanished. There were no talking points left, no media-trained responses. Just a man who looked painfully lost. I gave up everything for my family, he said, and in the end, I lost them too. Whoopi took a deep breath. She was no longer attacking, her tone had shifted, but the firmness remained. No one forced you to go public, Harry. That was a choice, and choices have consequences. I thought I was doing the right thing. Exposing the system. Speaking out. Being honest. Being honest does not mean broadcasting pain. That was never yours alone to share. She replied, there is a difference between transparency and betrayal. He nodded, still shaken. I want to fix it. I want to make things right. You can try, she said. But that begins with silence. No more interviews. No more podcasts. No more content about your family. You say you want healing, then let them heal without your commentary. But what if I lose the public? He asked. What if I fade away completely? Then maybe, Whoopi said gently, you were never supposed to live in the spotlight. Maybe your value is not in your titles or your scandals. Maybe it's in the quiet work, the unseen service. He let out a broken laugh. I don't know what that even looks like. Then go figure it out, she said. Go do the hard work of becoming someone your children will respect. Not for what you exposed, but for what you protected. The camera slowly zoomed in on Harry's face. His eyes, red from crying, held something new, an emptiness. Yes, but also a flicker of realization. I was so angry, he admitted. I needed someone to blame. I didn't know how to grieve. Not properly. Anger is understandable, Whoopi said, but you turned it into your identity. You stopped being Harry and became the guy who talks about how much he was wronged. And at some point, you convinced yourself that hurting them back was justice. It wasn't justice, Harry whispered. It was survival. No, Whoopi replied firmly. It was control. You couldn't control what happened to your mother. You couldn't stop what the press said, but you could control the narrative. Later, and you did, repeatedly. He nodded again, slower this time. Do you think they'll ever speak to me again? He asked. My brother, my father. I don't know, Whoopi said honestly. They may never trust you again, but that doesn't mean you stop trying to be trustworthy. A long silence followed. Harry spoke again, barely audible. I've said too much, I've gone too far. You have, she agreed. But now you have a choice. Do you keep going down the same road, repeating the same pattern, or do you stop? Do you decide that peace is worth more than attention? Harry leaned back in his chair, eyes toward the ceiling. You could see him wrestling with the weight of every decision, every public remark, every interview that once felt like freedom but now sat like chains on his shoulders. I've burned so many bridges, he said, then start building new ones. Whoopi answered, quietly, carefully, not with cameras rolling but with real conversations, real apologies, real humility. He closed his eyes for a moment. Even if I disappear completely, the damage is already done. The books exist. The shows are still online. I can't undo any of it. No, you can't, Whoopi said, but you can stop making it worse. That's something. He turned to her now, searching, and if I do all of that, how will I know if it's working? You won't, she said. Not right away. You won't get applause. There won't be headlines. But one day, your kids will look at you and see a man who changed. A man who chose better. That's your reward. Harry wiped his face again. His voice cracked. What if they hate me for what I've done? Then you love them enough to accept that, Whoopi replied. You love them enough to stop hurting the people who raised you. You love them enough to stop turning pain into performance. A few audience members wiped their own eyes. The atmosphere had shifted completely. This wasn't just a moment. It was a public reckoning, maybe even a transformation. I've spent years defining myself by what I escaped, he said, by what I lost. I never stopped to think about who I was trying to become. Then let that be your next chapter, Whoopi said. Not one for sale. One for yourself. For your children. For the legacy your mother left you. He nodded. Slowly, she didn't run when things got hard. He said, she stayed. She fought. She did. Whoopi agreed. And not by tearing down others, but by lifting people up. Quietly, powerfully. That's how she earned respect. Not sympathy. Respect. The moment hung in the air, like a fog lifting. For the first time during the entire conversation, Harry's shoulders relaxed just a little. Do you think I can still be that person? He asked. "That's not a question for me," she said. "That's a question for you. And the answer will be in how you live from this moment forward." He took one final breath, deep and slow. "I've been loud for too long," he said. "Yes," Whoopi replied. "Now it's time to listen." As the interview came to a close, there was no applause, no cheerful send-off, just silence. And for once, Harry seemed okay with that. He looked out toward the audience, then toward the floor. His tears had dried, but the emotion was still etched deeply into his face. "I missed them," he said again, quietly. "All of them, we know," Whoopi said, "but missing them isn't the same as loving them, right? If you really love them, then stop hurting them." The studio lights dimmed. The cameras zoomed out. What began as another celebrity appearance ended in raw accountability, in one of the most unfiltered public reckonings ever broadcast. For once, the headlines would not be about what Harry revealed, but about what he finally heard. So, what do you think? Did Whoopi go too far, or did Prince Harry need to face the truth, for once, without filters? Let us know in the comments, and subscribe for more unscripted confrontations you will not find anywhere else.